over the past couple years, YC has funded more startups from Africa, and we've gotten great founders. We've been able to get them funded, and they're going after huge markets. So we thought it made sense to come out here and recruit more people and tell people that they should apply and that we can fund them. So the best way of doing that is to do it in real time, live. So that's why we're here. Some of the problems I've seen that startups can really attack are logistics and shipping, the availability of internet, all types of things around payments and making payments more accessible, all types of services, a lot of B2B services, printing. I mean, it's like, and then like normal everyday things, like things that will improve traffic, things that improve transportation. There's like tons and tons and tons of stuff. It's pretty exciting. 4 things you have to think about when you're applying to YC. 1, you have to explain what you do simply and clearly. You don't want to use jargon, you don't want to use complicated words. You don't need to use the words like platform and revolutionary. The simple, clean explanation. The second thing is having a strong team. Typical YC team is 2 to 4 founders with a technical co-founder. And those founders are splitting equity equally or close to equally. Next thing is you have to go after a big market. Solve a big problem. Solve a problem that a lot of people have, a lot of people are willing to spend money on. The way I always tell people is that they should think that their startup will be the first line of their Wikipedia and do the thing that they want to do for their life. And then the last thing is build something and then ask for money. I think that what's interesting is that these things are not different here than they are in America or anywhere else in the world.
Right.
Most founders have similar kind of issues they have to work on. One is definitely cleanly and easily explaining the business. Second, like I said, is definitely emphasis on technical co-founders. And then I think the last thing is when you're coming from a market that people are less familiar with, you have to provide even more information about how big the market is. So everyone takes for granted that in America, a lot of people all speak the same language with a lot of money. But if you're coming out of other markets, from developing countries, you have to really explain like how many of the 180 million people in Nigeria actually can buy your service. What most people don't understand about Y Combinator is that half of our founders are foreign born. And 30% of the companies we fund come from outside the United States. Every batch has anywhere between 15 and 20 companies represented. So YC has basically been international for the last 12 years. And for me, it's, maybe the better question to think about is like, why are we only coming here now? Because, we invest in companies that take 10 years to build. So if we're not coming someplace early, that's a big problem. So when we talk to companies here, we think, what are they going to do 10 years from now? Where's the country going to be 10 years from now? And how do we make sure we support those people as early as possible? My startup journey was kind of strange. I became a co-founder of a company and the CEO at 23 years old. It was great to start early because I was stupid, I didn't need a lot of money, and I was able to work on anything. Anything excited me. I had a lawyer who told me it would take 7 to 10 years to build my company into $1 billion company. I didn't believe him. He was exactly right. So my company actually was called Justin TV, and it actually became 2 companies. It became Twitch TV, which sold to Amazon for $1 billion in 2014, and SocialCam, which sold to Autodesk in 2012 for $60 million. So it was actually a long road. A lot of times where you feel like your company's going to fail. A lot of times where you think the company's succeeding and then you think it's going to fail. Then you think it's going to succeed. And so, yeah, this is not a short thing. Most people only get a couple shots at this. And you got to be the one that's going to stick through it no matter what. YC has funded founders who are 18 years old. We've funded founders that are over 60. We've funded founders all the way in between. The way I think about it is age is somewhat irrelevant. The most you're going to learn is going to be when you're doing your startup. So it's beneficial to start earlier because it's easier to start earlier. You've got fewer expenses. You can be a little bit less smart about exactly what you're doing, and sometimes founders have to be a little bit more brave. But in general, you just get started, and that's when you start learning. So whatever it takes for you to get to that point where you feel comfortable, I don't care whether that takes you a year, 5 years, 10 years, just get there and then start working on your startup. I mean, I have to be honest, I think it's great for Nigerian startups that can raise US dollars. Now those US dollars go a lot further. The companies that we've invested in and gotten through YC and have raised money that came back here now have longer runway. So it's extremely unfortunate for the economy, but for the startups, usually what we tell startups is that a downturn in the economy is actually a great time to start a company. It cleans out a lot of competition. It gives you the opportunity to rethink what you want to do with your life. And if you have access to foreign capital, it actually gives you even more of a boost when you're trying to kind of grow on the upturn. And the thing I always tell people is that we plan for these companies to take 10 plus years. So if the economy's bad now, that's totally fine. It's going to get better over the course of the next 10 years. So in terms of liquidity events, what I would say is, like, one, we don't have all the answers. Two, I think that there's a large potential for Nigerian founders to create companies with global customers, in which case they could access liquidity from everywhere in the world. And then I think three, as Nigeria as a market develops and as sub-Saharan Africa develops, more and more companies are going to be looking to buy companies here and basically get access to new markets, new users, growing user bases. So for me, it's not really what the liquidity markets are right now, it's what they will be 10 years from now. My name is Michael Seibel, and you're watching Guardian TV.